Shalom, shalom to the remnant, to the elect, to the called, to the returned. This is Sibaya. I'm coming with a message, but it's really a critique. And it's a critique on a video that Truth Unedited made. First, let me give all honor and praises to YAHWEH El Elyon, our Father in heaven, our Maker and our Creator, and to Yahoshua, our High Priest, after the order of Melchizedek, sitting on a throne at his right hand, giving a daily sacrifice for his chosen elect that gives a daily sacrifice of their lives. And to the Malach Yahweh, also known as the Holy Spirit Yahweh. Holy, holy, holy to the three of them. This is Sibaya. And I want to do a quick, I don't do nothing quick, but it's quick for me because it's sudden when Yah inspires me to do it, to give a critique on a narrative that has been spun very crookedly for the past, I would say 40, 50 years. Now, there's nothing in this message that we haven't heard since the 1970s and 80s with all Black leaders. And when you got this YouTube informationalist stuff, I've seen Truth Unedited junk, right? And he's a bunch of fluff, right? He's a YouTube dark spirit. Don't nobody know two diddly squats about him, what he look like, if he lives his life righteous, if he's a nigga or not. Don't nobody know nothing about him for him to be speaking so proud. And then when he gives his narratives with a bunch of pictures and stuff, his narratives is nothing but stolen. It's a stolen narrative. And this narrative, all the Black men need to hear. As soon as you hear something like that, you already know that is chauvinistic in nature. This is a message you need to hear. Now, he didn't create anything new. He's just really good at repackaging other people's narratives and messages. And underneath these narratives, if you really don't question that, you'll go with that narrative. And this, and because nobody has questioned this narrative, I remember having I'm going to say somewhat of a debate with my father, and at that time, a nigga that thought he was his right-hand man in Israel. And they spun this same narrative at the table and ate him alive because it was all hypocrisy. And it was all blaming the Black woman, that the devil used the white man to use the Black woman against the Black man. And the Black man is all victim because of who he is. That's basically the narrative. Now, the narratives in this story have a lot of truth to them, but it's a one-sided truth to paint a very unbalanced picture to cast false blame. And so I'm going to label this the true message all Black men and women need to hear, because this is the narrative that you've been hearing. And when you hear this narrative, all it does is keep Black men angry, victimized, crying, victimized babies, and it causes them to look first, to hate first their women, and then to hate the white man. That's why we got nigger brews up here saying they're gonna kill the Black woman and the white man. They can't wait till y'all unleashes the weapons to do vengeance on their sisters first and the white man second, because of this very narrative, right? And what I'm tired of it. So we're gonna talk about it. I think y'all is tired of it too, because this nigga hates y'all. This Black man hates Black men, because if you want to keep spreading this narrative and then you don't even have a real answer, a biblical answer of first why it's happening, not to do the Adam and Eve gave, well, the serpent, well, the woman, no, it's the same thing they doing. The serpent, the woman, but I told you, oh man, no excuse for you. You fall because you disobeyed me. On top of that, it's a one-sided narrative. It's not the whole, it's a lie because it's not the truth. And even the parts of it that is the truth, I'm going to show you the narrative historically that is the truth, why they're not a victim to it. They're the culprits, because what they did was still against Yah. So we're going to listen to this, and I'm going to stop this. And if any one of y'all, brothers and or sisters, got anything to say, speak to it from the word of Yah and from the reality, not from your own individual situations. I know when some of y'all got experiences, we all, and men, I have no doubt that our men have been broken and hurt through their relationships with women and vice versa. We read that. We read that the curse was equally on both of us. That our tender and delicate men, right, would hate the wife when they first hate their brother. I'm gonna show you that these men that continue to blame women first actually hate you men first. They hate themselves. They don't want you to get better. Then they hate their women, and then they hate their children. That's what y'all said. You're gonna eat your children, you're gonna hate the wife of your bosom, the woman of your bosom, your women. And he said the same thing about the women. Our tender and delicate women will now hate our men, their husbands, and their children. But what he didn't say is that women hate men. He said men are gonna hate their brethren. Ooh, I'm lying? I'm lying on the word? There was one distinct thing that Yah said about the tender and gentle man that he didn't say about the women. Because I'm gonna tell you that we don't hate our brothers. But Yah said, you're gonna hate your brethren and your women. And I'm gonna show you that this narrative is perpetrating the hatred, acting like they're your brethren that want to help you against your women. It's called the man code, but the man code is of Satan. So let's listen to this narrative. All right.
No woman, no cry. No woman, no cry.
Automatically, that's a slap in the face. What's the message right now? No, not stop crying. At the end, when you hear the narrative of his video, all he's doing is justifying men's crying by playing like a victim. While you telling the women, you ain't no victim, right? So he shows Hollywood. Hollywood keep painting us these narratives, right? Hollywood, women warriors. That is a woman takeover. I do agree. I do agree that Satan, because y'all, the male, I'm not even talking about black and white. I'm talking about the patriotism of this world, that men have led this world, and the world is in chaos because of the rulership of men. Not just Israel. We about to go down. This world is about to end. What? Because the rulership of women? That's like you blaming Obama, right, for receiving the backlash of all the bad presidencies, right? Right? Or even if, what's her name? That woman is wicked as hell. Kamala. Let's say if Joe Biden got killed or died or whatever, and Kamala took over the presidency. And in her presidency, the whole Babylon just collapsed, which is very viable. What the world gonna do? Blame the woman. Is it her blame? Did Kamala get Babylon in this world of downfall? Right? She's a scapegoat if it winds up going down. Of course, she's gonna make the worst decisions, but she's in a situation that she's repeating the male rulership of wickedness that was passed down on her, right? So, yes, Satan is doing it, definitely. But I told you that when Satan does something, it's because he's mimicking something that's supposed to be true in Yah. Satan is creating an alternative look, not of a woman's takeover in Yah, but the fact that Yah will use a woman to deliver the house of Israel when the men are failing. For the woman not to destroy the man, but to lift him up until they get in the right place and they walk together. Yah is doing that, and I proved it. But because of that, Yah don't want you, Satan don't want you to see that. So Satan is pushing a narrative. And it's not a true narrative where you see weak female warriors. That whatever you show, this is Hollywood. This is not real. Where you see that at? Shut up. It ain't a bunch of women all over YouTube still leading us. Oh, what's her name? Kamala is not leading this nation. Michelle Obama did not rule her husband. What you talking about? And Wakanda is not real. Wakanda is not real. And there's only 2 nations in Africa that did the Amazon. Amazon women is not real either, y'all. That's Greek mythology. It's not real. It didn't happen. It didn't happen. There's never been a woman takeover. Where you see that at? Hollywood. It's a false narrative. And they painting the picture just because strong women is standing up for the people. Like it's a woman takeover. When we've had that from the beginning of time, and they've done great things in Africa. Great women have stood up as queens or kings to help fight off the enemy when the men were weak. But right now we got in, I believe it's Congo, somewhere in Middle Africa, where they call them the Amazon women. They're not the Amazon women. They're not chewing up the men. They're not destroying them. But the men there have created a doctrine and a culture of chopping off the women's clitoris, beating them and raping them and taking them at 12 years old and just having them as slaves. And so the women decided enough is enough. No, they didn't kill the men. They said, we done. We don't want marriage anymore. And they are now living celibate lives amongst themselves. And the government is supporting them because they have a case of women abuse. But they're not here to destroy the men. They even allow some of the men in the community, as long as they obey the rules, not to abuse the women. So they're not against the men. It's a few men in there that are tender and delicate. And so they will allow them to come in and dwell with them and marry. When they come back to their right nature, nothing wicked about that in the world's perspective. From the world's perspective, that's not a woman takeover. Right? And one nation is doing this now. Rightfully so, because they over here cutting off their clitorises so that they can't even enjoy. This is crazy. There's no such thing as Amazon women, y'all. There's no woman takeover. It's false. Women's Lib did not take over anything. It was a failed movement. Women's Lib is just a bunch of homosexuals. But you're going to say that female homosexuals is a takeover? Where? Well, all I see is faggots, drag queens, sodomites, temple prostitutes is the ones that actually is taking over. The women following. I'm talking about amongst our nation. Amongst our nation. Because I'm going to tell you that women don't even like dykes. We don't like them because they behave just like y'all. That ain't no what, women ain't following dykes. Get out of here. Ain't no woman takeover. Ain't no, this is Hollywood, but they're going to continue to spin this narrative. No woman, no cry. When y'all say, when you cry out to me because of all your pain, I'll answer you. Same thing for the men. So this is automatically is false propaganda. There's no women warriors in this world like that right now amongst our people. That's a lie.
Don't shed no tear.
It's false.
No woman, no cry.
Is marriage for white people? That's the question being asked by an author of a new book. Is marriage for white people? How the African-American marriage decline affects everyone. It's got a lot of people talking right now. Stanford law professor Ralph Richard Banks says it's time for black women to, this is a quote, give up the good fight on marrying a black man. Here he is.
The way I think of that is that women have been asked to carry a great load. Black women shoulder a lot of the burden, in short, of black men's struggles. And I am asking women to put the burden down. Many women think that they're attracted to black men. They are attracted to black men. But attraction itself is complicated. And one of the things that I discovered in the course of writing this book is that there's a whole host of fears and desires and anxieties that animate black women's attraction to black men.
What are we talking about here? Our people, the ratio of our women is not even substantial for you to even point that out. It's a narrative that's being pushed that Boule and Babylonian black women that have already signed, that is not our narrative. That's not true at all. You don't got a statistics to prove this. And if you do find any statistics of the ratio of the amount of black women that's giving up on black men to go and marry a white man now, then all you're gonna find is that they're repeating what you did in the 60s and 70s and 80s. Why y'all sitting up here? Where's that at? When you gonna put that on TV, but why don't you put Denzel Washington, Mo Better Blues, and all of that propaganda? Did we get upset with y'all? We went and watched the movie with y'all. Said, well, okay, I guess you love the white woman more than like what? Okay, did we get upset with y'all? Well, some of us did. Y'all pushed that narrative, marrying Chinese women, Japanese women, Puerto Rican women, white women, jungle fever. Y'all did that on us for years. Now you gonna come and try to push this narrative when this kind of woman, any woman that's doing this is evil, but all she doing is repeating what y'all taught her. You a lie. I got brothers right now still admitting that y'all men slept with white. Y'all didn't marry them even back in the day. Y'all was just sleeping with them and bringing their diseases home. Now you crying because the women, some are fed up with y'all? No, you don't cry. How many movies did we see our black men with white? It's endless, y'all. Endless. Now you're gonna get this nobody pushing nothing. My father tried to have this conversation with me and they got chewed up. They tried to chew me up because it was 2 or 3 of them pushing this narrative. And I said, well, name it. Because at that time, this narrative wasn't being pushed like this. I said, name the amount of black women that you know went to white women. They went all the way back to Lena Horne, a white man. They went all the way back to Lena Horne. I said, that's one. That's it? That's all you got? It was numerous women. Name one. Name them. Name these women. It's far and few in between in an upper class. Name it. You don't see it like that. I said, but we could name it for y'all. Basketball players, football players, politicians, rich, educated, actors, all lawyers, all of y'all. That's right. That's right. And so I said, the fact that you can count, difficultly count, shows that it ain't a true narrative. It's what Hollywood kept throwing in your face and it became your all truth. I said, that's right. I'll say that again. Come here. Come on, sit. This is old Papa. He can tell you some truth. How old are you, Mr. Sir?
I'll be 70 this year.
70 this year. He lived a little life. He could tell you what about it.
So I was born in 52. And what I saw in the 60s was that the white man gave up his daughters to get black men to come to their college.
That's right.
And it started in California with UCLA and USC. And they began to dominate sports when they got people like Hal Cinder and O.J. Simpson and those guys to come and play sports for them. They started to dominate sports. That's when the coaches and schools in the South, who would not even allow black people to come to their college, changed everything. And they decided, if we're gonna compete, we gotta get us some of them. So what they did was brought these young black men in and put white women on the diet, on the menu.
Where do we see that in the Bible? Huh? Well, no, before Solomon, when we came out in the wilderness, right? In order to curse Israel, the first thing that was done was go send your women. Go send your women around them. That's not a black woman issue. You can't even find that in the Bible. Get out of here. Okay, I'm calling you some more, but we got history, right? And so on top of that, it was hypocrisy, right? Because my father was mad at me because I wound up dipping out for a minute into another nation. I did. By default. I wasn't looking for it or anything. The story is not I wasn't seduced or anything. I was, what's the word? It wasn't rape. I'm not gonna say it was rape. It was a situation, huh? No, I wasn't seduced. I told you that this was the time that my mama died. My second mama died, and I went into a blackout, and I was emotionally mute, and I was taken advantage of in a place where I was emotionally dead, right? And I was so sorry about it that I confessed it to my father. I was waiting for my beat down. He didn't do it because he knew that I was broken, and he knew that wasn't me and what would cause me to do something like that, right? But on the other hand, how could he when my brother has been sleeping with white women the whole time and he condoned it? That they sat up there, and years later, when I was repentant from that, years later, he come and try to blast me at the table about that, saying this is the narrative, the black woman issue now, that we've abandoned the black men. I said, you a lie. I said, you a lie, because you sat up there and let your sons. You never said nothing to your firstborn son about mixing his seed with the Puerto Rican girl, this girl coming over here crazy, with the other Israeli girl, with the Indian Israeli girl, and now that's what he's married to now. Well accepted. There was no judgment on him for mixing his seed. There was no narrative about what he did. And I tried to tell you, hey, y'all got some double standards here. That ain't working. Y'all are hypocrites. This is hypocrisy off the bat. All right.
Okay, Banks recently wrote an article in the Wall Street Journal and said that 70% of black women aren't married. That's roughly true. Okay, so is it time for single, educated, and working black women to just forget the notion of marrying a black man?
Okay, that's very specific. That ain't us. Y'all know every black person is not Israel, right? Stop it. That ain't us. That's Canaanite women, Hittite women, Amorite women mixed in with us. Another mentality. That ain't the daughters of Zion. You a lie.
And look outside their race. A new Gallup poll shows more and more people are receptive to the idea of interracial marriage. In 1968, the numbers were quite low for whites approving of interracial marriage. This is a Gallup poll from USA Today, but today those numbers skyrocketed for both blacks and whites. So does the author have a point? As the black,
you know, this ain't gender, right? This is just blacks and whites. See, this is a play on numbers. He already spent the narrative that is about about black women marrying white men. And then he put this up there, and it plays on you because you're going with the narrative that was just spent. That's not what this is saying. Because I would like to see, right, how many of this is black men versus black women.
Black marriage nearly obsolete is the
And you can't ask these nigga brews that have the 12 tribes chart saying Cuban and Indian, right? They gonna say, well, these are all black. It's a false narrative if you ask a nigga brew, because they already got charts with 5 other nations on it that ain't black. Talking about this is Israel. Right? Spin that narrative that this 12 tribe chart was to give men permission to go and sleep with other nations and pretend like it was the daughters of Zion.
the idea just for white people. Have a black couple here who said,
No woman, no cry.
How many men are unmarried? Where's the statistics about the unmarried men? You see how it's already one-sided. You give us statistics about the unmarried women. How many men are unmarried? One-sided. Can't do it like that.
In that last video, I had a lot to say about the war against men. Because it's such a huge issue, it was
There's a war against men, or is there a war against the image of Yahoshua?
impossible to be as in-depth as needed in one video. I mean, that video by itself was too long. But in that video, as I was speaking to men as a whole, there actually needs to be some direct targeting and a message like this. Now listen, it is absolutely true that there is a war against men.
The hell? Then he put white men and other people men, but then he focuses on us in the end. Watch this. Already this thing is manipulative. With a war on men, well then who's waging the war? Huh? White women ain't waged this war. Homosexual. Men have. Men have.
Masculinity is in a great decline all across the board, regardless of race, nation, or creed. This goes without saying, and that's why the first
Like I said, he started off with the black woman looking like the black Wakanda queen, and then he gonna make it interracial. This is deceptive automatically, and then he gonna spin it out and focus on black. Watch.
video was very general. But in regards to this war against men, there is a group that has historically taken the most damage and has been attacked the most directly. There has been an all-out assault against the black men, especially in America. It has been an unspoken war that has been waged against us for many generations. And as a black man myself, it is something I cannot leave unchecked.
I agree. Our black men have been targets, and so have our black women. You a lie. You a lie. Once again, how you gonna talk about a war on black men, show and don't show the degradation of being subject to whatever y'all subject to by the same thing? You a lie.
Now, as I said in that last video, now, if you haven't watched that video, please watch that first before you watch this, because some things I say here is based on assuming the foundation was already laid from that first video. But again, in that first video, I spoke about these 2 latest movies that have come out. Women Warriors, proving they are just as strong as men or even stronger. We have Black Panther 2.
This is Hollywood, y'all. No such thing. No such thing.
Where the trailer just showed women. If you remember in the first movie, the king was guarded by a female army. We have this other movie about other women warriors, where even in the clip, one of the women shows that she was stronger than a man. We even have the Biden administration silently working against black men in this country without saying an actual word that he's doing it. I mean, look at all of his appointments. He is
Silently working, right, by showing black women. This just a war on black. It's not a war on all of us.
promoted black women to high offices, and it seems one of the criteria they must have is that they're not married to black men.
Acutely aware that my presence at this podium represents a few firsts. I am a black, gay, immigrant woman.
There have been news articles about why more black women
Once again, that's what black gay, what? Women. What you say? Black immigrant great gay women. That ain't us. We ain't immigrated nowhere. Okay? We didn't immigrate nowhere gay. But why are you mad about this narrative? Once again, I can show you endless for the last 30 years, movie after movie, even Sidney Poitier, right? All the way back there, every single black man played a role where he was kissing on a white woman. And we have been raised with that for the last 40, 50 years. Is it not true? Mama, come on, speak about it. Come on. Come tell your age, mama. Right? Y'all are spinning a false narrative. Now you will show a couple of women in the White House, right? And a couple of gay women. Y'all was faggots for a long time. Stop it. How old are you, mama?
75 years old.
75 years old.
Mhm.
You sure you're not 85? Okay, I'm just joking. Not because you look it, I can swear that you, okay.
Yeah.
75. Tell them about it.
Well, it's a lie what they're saying about Black women. It's the men who wanted the white women.
That's right.
Sidney Poitier is a perfect example. He had a black wife. He first had a black wife, and he wound up with a white woman. Most of the black men that from back in that time, they were just enamored with white women. They just pushed us aside. And it had nothing to do with, most of us were, we just wanted a good husband. But for some reason, they were enamored with the white woman. I don't know what it was. Like Brother was saying here, perhaps it had a lot to do with the fact that, what was that?
It's the forbidden fruit.
Yeah, forbidden fruit.
But like I said, they went in the Bible. They went in the Bible and figured out how to get y'all. Throw their women on you. And y'all took the bait. They ain't got nothing to do with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, y'all did it willingly.
They pushed us aside for the white women.
I mean, a lot of black men that were
Come on.
trying to get it. A lot of black men.
You
that
put
were
another seat up here. So
making
y'all
it
just come on.
ahead.
To get ahead.
They
We know what it, and to get ahead.
That's true.
For both.
had a
That's
false
true.
assumption that they needed a white woman in order to fit into society.
That's right. We know that's the narrative.
That's true. Mhm.
They can't hear you from here.
Something else I heard too, and that's also what Pop said was regarding the football industry. A lot of the
The
time,
sports, all of
the
that.
sports,
Mhm.
the money that they accumulate doesn't go back to their families, they go back to their white wives
Uh-huh.
to
That's
keep
right.
the money in their.
That's what ever since
true.
TV.
That's
Ever
true.
since TV.
Mhm.
That's what they've been pushing against us to destroy the black home. That before welfare, before babies, mamas, dramas, before crap, before all of that, right? And this was the time that what happened? Y'all went into the war. Who forced you to go into war? Aside from being drafted, y'all volunteered for the war. A lot of y'all volunteered for and came back. How? We're gonna talk about it because I'm gonna talk about it in perspective to Yahweh's word. It's all evil. It's all evil. But you cannot push this narrative and talk about a crying woman when we was telling y'all, why y'all doing this for the last 40 years, based upon what the white man offered you, money and his women. Jeremiah, you got something to say? Oh, snap. I was like, you know something? He 12 years old. Go ahead.
I read a book years ago, written by Eldridge Cleaver, Soul on Ice. And he said the reason why he wanted a white woman was because he associated it with freedom. He got tired of his hands to flow freely through her hair, whereas with the woman, the king stopped it. So therefore,
Oh, I know that. I
Yeah.
know that syndrome.
yeah.
Yeah, all of that. It's a lot going on, but even the details don't matter. The narrative is false. To pick out a few women and gay lesbians when y'all been faggotrying the whole time in the army with white men, black women. Why you was married to black, sleeping with white women, and then decided to marry some of them right in our face. Right? And so all you seeing is the flip side of your own evil. And all of y'all a bunch of Canaanites. Okay? Okay.
Should marry white men. Most of our heroes in the black community, our actors, our singers, our rappers, athletes, social activists, etc. They all have been emasculated or are homosexual.
Why? Why did they do this? See, we got the blame game. Tell me why every single one that he just showed, every single one of these faggot niggas, why did they do what they did? For the love of money, worshiping Baal, the bull, the cash cow. So once again, that's what y'all said. I'm gonna turn your men into women. That's what y'all said I'm gonna do. Y'all did it. Y'all did it. Because y'all are idol worship, covetousness, and you want that money. You want a piece of the white man's pie, so you're gonna do what the white man say. But who forced them to do it? How are they victims? Unless they were raped, how are they victims?
Well, no, he's painting a false narrative that it's this idea that they didn't choose to dress up like women. They had a choice.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They had a choice. Where's the victimization? Once again, y'all is not gonna blame the white man for this. You chose it. Nobody, and you chose it because you didn't worship Yah and fear Yah. You did it because you love the money and you wanted the gold and the silver of the wicked people that you serve, your lovers. That's what we call them. No, you forgot it was me that gave you bread, wine, the grain, and the oil. You put perfumes on, oh Israel, for your lovers. You went to the king and oiled yourself for your lovers and laid in their couches and their beds. You sat at their feet and negotiated with the kings for a love affair. And the king is a man, so you a faggot. Oh, Israel. Male and female. They had a choice. Nobody forced them to get into bed with the prostitute or the king.
Yahweh said that it was sin for a man to dress as a woman.
That's right. That's right. They're not victims. They're idol worshipers.
There is no room for the traditional black man in society today. There is an all-out assault on black men that we aren't really able to bring up because people either want to reduce these feelings as either sexist, racist, homophobic, or all of it combined.
How about just purely evil against Yah?
That's right.
In that last video, I went over the whole agenda and what us as men should be. But what needs to be done and said here is how we got here specifically in the black community. So I needed to tackle this in a specific video so that anyone that does not understand this can clearly gain more perspective, and our black men can understand that they have been attacked and emasculated in order to be conquered. You are conquered. Every aspect of our current black culture in America has been designed and created to present the world with a subdued black man, and it is very necessary that at this point you understand this. So
that's right. Y'all chose it. But y'all bad at me when I keep telling y'all, what are y'all, what's the nigga brew movement doing now? This is in the church. This in the church, right? From that first pornographic faggot, what's his name? Tell me what you want. What's his name? What? Not Hezekiah Walker, that Christian that brought hip hop, huh?
Kirk Franklin.
Kirk Franklin. From Kirk Franklin. Now, all y'all was watching him. Stop lying. Y'all chose this from the church. Now you bringing the same bull crap to the brew community. You chose it. Now Sibaya is on the scene as a woman warrior in the word, telling you, stop listening to all of it. They all the devil. They're Canaanites. But you still want to blame a black warrior in Yah. This whole narrative, he's blaming, he's gonna blame, he's not even saying it's a man's fault, right? He's saying that they victimized, but this is the white man's doing, and it's gonna trickle down to the black woman's doing. None of these Negroes had a choice. Why did they do these videos? For the love of money. For worship of Baal. Okay? You chose it. Right. The men get the glory, the women get used and abused even more. Oh, you that video hoe.
Bigger amount of money.
Right? For you the video hoe. They both chose.
We're going to talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
Let's begin.
Let's begin.
So let's go back in time so we can better understand where we are today. After slavery was abolished, blacks in America tried to establish lives for themselves. The period of the Great Migration was one of the largest movements of people in the United States history.
Bam. First sin. What happened in history that's against the word of Yah that happened right here? That it was the man's choice. I know it for a fact because my great-grandfather made the same choice. And I look at the result of my family right now, right? He got the 20 acres, the 40 acres in the mule. They had the land, right? After slavery, we had land. We still had to work hard, but we wasn't gonna get no glory. It was just gonna be our food and our shelter, right? What happened? A great migration for what? For work for the white man to get money. Who forced you to do it? Nobody. First thing that was wrong against Yah, once again, you can't even blame the white man for the trap that he set. He gave you what you wanted, and you wanting that was wicked. You chose it. And guess who made those decisions? The men. Took their whole family off the farm to go into the cities. And that's when we all became corrupted. To work a job.
But they also will listen to what we know now as the boule.
The boule.
The boule was the leader.
Yeah, he gonna talk about the boule because y'all still follow the boule.
Approximately 6 million black people moved from the American South to northern, midwestern, and western states, roughly from 1910s until the 1970s.
Like I said, why? Because y'all was idol worshipers. The men made that decision. The women followed that, and the family. And it was the worst decision you could make because it was all for the love of money, to get what the white man had, to integrate, to get a piece of a bigger pie when you already had it. Now y'all trying to go back to the farms. Does that make any sense? No. Yeah, you going in circles.
To escape racial violence and pursue economic and educational opportunities, black Southerners began to migrate all over the country.
Did they escape racial violence? They went more into the white towns.
The first Great Migration in 1910 to 1940 had black Southerners relocate to northern and midwestern cities, including New York, Chicago, Detroit, and Pittsburgh. Now, what's important to understand is that during these times, the black family was statistically strong.
So what happened? We were strong, and niggas wanted to go make money from the white man. They wanted white man's money, and so they put their family in jeopardy for money.
Also wanted his lifestyle.
They wanted that lifestyle.
To be him.
That's right. They wanted to be him. The narrative is over. Everything after is the consequence of your wicked decisions as a head of the household. You was the head of the household. If you gonna start the narrative with a bad choice, when we were good, we were still good as a family. They might have been killing y'all niggas every here and there. But as a family, we were not destroyed. Still strong. Then your narrative is all false from this point. You walked into the trap, Negroes.
Men brought their families around the country seeking opportunities for themselves.
Who did it? Who did it? Who did it? Men brought their families seeking a lover, opportunity, Baal. That's what y'all said. You went after your lovers. You forgot I was the one. Now, when they all go down, go cry to your lovers. Don't call on me. No woman, no cry. No nigga, no cry. Who did that?
So they can support their families.
So they can support their families. Why? Why'd you need? Y'all had a shack, right? You had a shack. Y'all had a farm. Y'all had food. Y'all was growing your own food. You didn't have a lot of things, but you had everything you needed.
But they got sold on the American lifestyle.
They got sold on American lifestyle. Thank you.
With a great deal of racism and oppression, those that have families held those families intact. According to the United States Census Bureau data, in 1910, Black children raised in two-parent households was at 72.5%, and only 13% were raised by mothers only. For contrast, white children raised in two-parent households was almost at 90%, and only 5% of the households were raised by single mothers.
Once again, he just jumped to the woman and man issue. He just said, Black men decided the family was strong. That's the blame right there. If you want to play the blame game, the families were strong. Black men took their families while they were two-parent households and strong to migrate into the cities where white masters, rich masters, gave them another opportunity to support their families or live up the dream of the white man.
There's an obvious gap there, I know, but not as big as the gap that we'll see. If you follow these statistics through time, through the Great Depression and the first Great Migration, the percentages still held up. We are talking about 30 years of strong families raised by both parents, both mom and dad, in the home. So for me, we're going back about 3 generations to my great-grandparents, and for the most part, the Black homes and families were still intact. Now, this is where I want you to pay attention. In the 1960s, right before the Civil Rights Act, the percentages started to shift. The homes of Black children raised by both parents dropped by 5% to 67.7%, and Black children raised by single mothers raised 5% to 18.2%.
1960s, what was happening? Integration, right? So y'all already, the movies was out. The propaganda of y'all marrying white women was already out there, and y'all was sleeping with the white woman, even if you didn't marry them. The hippies, right? 1960s, free love, and y'all was loving them free women, right?
Movies propagating fornication.
Yep, movies propagating fornication and war, military. When did Vietnam War happen?
1557, it began.
It began. It was a long time. Around this time, y'all.
And America went in to cover France,
Mm-hmm.
but it started with France.
Started with France, but a lot of our Black men went into that war. But even before then, how many wars did we join, even while we were still on the plantation, when the white said, I'm gonna give you your freedom, right? And then they went and recruited Black men to go fight their own wars. But we was on the front lines though. A lot of us got killed. Huh?
They put us on the front line to save the lives.
Right, they put us on the front line. So our men's lives was more at stake. While we was left at home, raising the kids, hoping that y'all Negroes would come back alive. And when you came back alive, you came back dead. Looking to destroy the rest of the family. Because you was an angry Black man. When did Black men become angry Black men? We were scared Black men when during the Ku Klux Klan and all that. When did we become angry Black men? After the war. Now, don't tell me that y'all remain celibate in Vietnam. Y'all, why we got Black babies all up in there? Right? Why we got Black Asian babies everywhere? Where the Asian thing come from with our Black men all of a sudden? What, y'all wasn't sleeping around in the army? Y'all was celibate to y'all? You a lie. You came back with diseases, on drugs, angry, wanting to kill somebody.
Even World War II.
World War II.
Europe.
In Europe.
A
A lot of us went off to Germany and stayed right there and became faggots and married white women. In Germany, there's a whole American slew of Black men, there wasn't women, that left and went and integrated with white women over there. And got a whole mixed society of Black German Americans that said, I ain't coming back. I know it for a fact. Somebody in my family. He went over there and turned down and became a faggot. He got a white German. You can't spin this narrative without telling the truth.
Now, in white households in the 1960s, their families got stronger. The two-parent household was now above 91%.
Numbers.
And still only 5% of households were raised by a single mother. We will go over why, but just stay with these statistics, because over the next 20 years, we will see the biggest shift in the black family. In the 1980s, during the biggest point of inflation in the United States, when we had a major recession, the black family collapsed. The homes of black children raised by both parents dropped by 20% to 47.1%. And black children raised by single mothers raised almost 20% to 37.3%. Not to
Numbers, huh?
You gonna speak about welfare?
Yeah, he gonna speak about all of that, but it's all against the black women. Like we was, how do I say, willing participants, right? Yeah, during the war on drugs, right? He gonna speak about all of that, but only in the way that the black man is victim. Like somebody forced them to do it. I got all the stories. I don't got statistics and a false narrative, a true false narrative. Everything that he's talking about, I could tell you a story that I've heard myself, right? Heard myself. When I moved to California, you know, I'm thinking California is the white hippie, right? And I came to Richmond, and they was the most country, ghettoist, downtrodden. I went to New Orleans, then I went to Richmond, California, and literally just across the tracks and across the road is White Town, and it's nigga, ratchetness, murder. They was shooting, somebody was getting shot in the head every other week. And I ride my bike from across the street of the road from the White Town off the hill down into that, and I see that everybody got homes though. But the street, I mean, it's just ratchet, like abandoned. And I said, well, first of all, why everybody country? Why they sound like they come from down south? And they was like, oh, they all shifted here in the 1960s and 70s to get jobs welding at the port. And they gave them homes and houses. I said, well, what happened? He said, then there was no more jobs. Right? And then they abandoned the black community. Then in that very same community, it was so much crime. Richmond is like number 3 or 4. Yeah, not Richmond, Virginia, Richmond, California, where we lived in. This is where the queen was showing her face, hiding her face, right? Amongst my people. But it was needed for me to go back in the ghetto with my people. I had to handle my nigga bros, right? Because they was thug, man, and I was in the construction pre-apprentice, and they was all right. Man, I had to put back my Brooklyn back on, right? Put it back on and deal with these Negroes. I ain't been around white people so long. I be like, right? I had to put my Brooklyn back on, right? Get some respect around here. These country people. Some of my grain dynamo, right? And they told me the stories in Richmond. Why was so much why the crime rate was so high? Because I'm like, this is not even the dirty South. Like, but why y'all acting like the dirty South? And they told me about some years ago that because they had the train tracks back there crossing over, that there was an empty what do you call it? Train boxes that was yeah, that was left. It was like there was a whole train of them though. Right? It was like they unlocked the train from the load and left it in the middle of the tracks of west side and east side of Richmond. And they said after some time, right, that thing is still there for some days and weeks. You know, Negroes are gonna be like, what is going on? What is this? And when they opened it up, it was full of guns. Full of guns.
They told them, they gave that information out. They sent that into the black community.
Yes, we know that. That's right. They did it. Most certainly did it. That was a true story. But who told you to? But if you can't if the black man's mind was right at that point to care about their society and their nation, then they wouldn't have used the guns on each other. Right? There's no way that you can say that these men are victims of anything. Their minds is already corrupt to do it. All right.
To gain more understanding and understand that these trends were based on factors outside of the family, particularly economics, just understand that
What did he just say? Just what I said. It's based on Baal. He called it economics. It's based on Baal.
white families also saw a decline. Their two-parent household declined 7% to 84%, and the percentage of households raised by single mothers grew by 6% to 11.7%. So I gave you a lot of numbers, but the picture needed to be painted for you.
If you want to speak, can you come over here? Hold on.
Because that's suggesting that white people and black people are having children at the same rate.
No.
So the mother, the single mother ratio to single white mother ratio, the numbers don't add up at the end of the day because there's not a lot of.
No, the population ain't even the same. Yeah.
So.
It's a numbers game, which is witchcraft, y'all. It's witchcraft. It's not the truth.
By the 1980s, the homes in the black community that had single mothers raising them represented almost 40% of the community. In 20 years, 20% of black men were removed from the black households.
He's gonna tell you why this one-sided narrative.
Let me ask you, do you really think it was solely because our parents and grandparents were deadbeats? No, they were
wicked. That's what Yahweh said. Truth unedited. That's you. Don't quote no Bible at the end of this. Yahweh said that you got to repent for your fathers and your fathers' fathers, because they were wicked and they rebelled against me. Even in their punishment, they didn't turn to me, but they turned to their lovers for the worship of money. I just did this lesson. Go back and put it right here, right there. Covetousness. And I'm going to show you where y'all said that we turned our backs on him for covetousness and that we didn't repent and say, no, we're still being attacked. This is hopeless. It ain't never going to stop. We didn't say it. And guess what? We still ain't saying it.
Attacked. The system that this country was built upon was created to assimilate black people in the country while making sure that black men never gained ground or dominance. The Great Migration.
So if you know that, then what are you supposed to say after that according to the word of Yah? Let me leave, for there's no hope in continuing to go and make a deal with these lovers, to fornicate with them any longer. That's what y'all said. Why y'all about to get destroyed? It's a dead end. You still won't say it. He won't say it either.
Migration was used to assimilate black people around the country, promising opportunities and providing them. By the mid-1960s, half of all blacks had moved into the middle class. But by this time, that progress seemed to be stalling. The rise in black income relative to that of whites was steady throughout the 50s. But after the Civil Rights Act, this relativity was halting fast.
That's what I said, right? That's what I said, that the civil rights was when we smacked y'all. We were supposed to go all these back to Africa movements, but they sold out. They sold out. This is the fornication with your lovers right there. And it backfired. It backfired. Y'all repeating the same thing today. But watch how he still bring this all down in front of this wide bad man decision, black man decisions. Watch he funnel this all the way down to the black woman. He's not even judging them. He's not saying that they betrayed us. He's not saying that they had a back to Africa movement, all of them, and they sat at the table and renegotiated instead of our return back home to stay here and get civil rights and equal rights, that's when you played the ultimate whore with your lover. And that was a black man's decision who led our people. It had nothing to do with black women, right? Them were our so-called black man warriors. Then this Negro at the end of it, because he slept with the enemy and the enemy betrayed him, he gonna cry at his last speech, talking about, I might not get there with you, right? I saw my people in the mountain, but I might not get there with, because you betrayed us.
The reason for father's absence in the black home ranged from the existence of welfare regulation that forced the father out of the home, a man's inability to secure gainful employment to support his family.
Struggling with a sore throat, the former governor criticized the Carter administration for fighting inflation with unemployment, especially black unemployment.
What are you trying to do for us?
I'm trying to tell you. I am trying to tell you that I know now there is no program or promise that a president can make that the federal government can come in and wave a wand and do this.
There was tensions in the male-female relationship as feminism began to rise, and the fact that a majority
Don't that look like Sister Connor? Wait, where'd you hear her voice too? That
of black children were beginning to be born out of wedlock.
Raise your hand if you're married. None of you are married. Raise your hand if you would like to be married to your baby's father. One. The rest of you who don't.
How old do these girls look to you? They look like they're between 13 and 18 years old. Not even women. Why are they pregnant? Fornication. They raped a man, or did they get wooed by some false speech from a man? They got played. Yeah, Satan whispered in it, I love you, girl, if you love me. We know that, right? This during what? You know, this is when man, y'all stop this. What? How you just gonna come down to this now? How you gonna skip fornication and whoremongering with men? How did they learn to be whoremongers, y'all? Where did our men learn to be whoremongers? Was women whores? Was our women the whores in the beginning? No, they learned it from where? White women. White women. Then they came, yeah, free love and the army. Then they came back and be like, what's wrong with you, girl? Now these women, these are not even women. What are you talking about marriage? What they know about marriage? For them to have had children out of wedlock, the family was already broken. Why? This the 1980s. We know what was going on in the 1980s, crack, all that, drugs, the hip hop, Kumo D, all of that. What women was hip hopping? What women, you know what was the image?
Plan to get married. Why don't you plan to get married? I'd like to know that.
You already have your child to think about, and then a whole family to care for. You know, it's a lot of responsibility, and then you don't want the commitments.
I wouldn't want no man holding me down, because I think I can make it as a single parent.
But don't you think you might need help in raising that baby from a man?
Not really. I didn't have a father. My father wasn't in the home, so, you know, it really, male figures are not substantially important in the family.
Okay, now these are girls saying that. She said her father wasn't there. Why? Where was he? Right, so there wasn't no 1980s things. This happened all the way from the 60s. Now she said, I got a baby to think about. By the time she married a man, now she got double responsibility to cook for the baby and for him. But whose fault is that? Is that her fault? He's painted like it's the black woman's fault. Why would she marry at this point? Why? I'm not saying that it's not wicked. It's all wicked. But why? Why are you coming to the end result of utter wickedness and utter decisions of the black man? And you seeing the result of it, and now it's Eve's fault. Tell me, why would she marry a black man now? But yet we still did not abandon our black men. You a lie. They abandoned us. All they had to do, that woman that's talking, running her mouth, talking about because my father wasn't there. Guess what? Whoever the baby daddy is, all he had to do was get right. It's not even necessary about the money. If he had treated her right and honored her and said, I'm gonna do my best. We can do this together, right? I won't blame you, you won't blame me. We made a mistake together, but I love you and I love my baby and I want to be there for him. So I want to do what's right in Yah. Though we made a mistake, guess what? She would marry him. She's talking out of anger because this nigga ain't doing nothing now. Why would she get married? If he ain't doing nothing now, what he gonna do different? She just said, because I gotta take care of baby, and that's a lot of responsibility to take care of man too. Now, so now this is the narrative, right? Yes, women have said this, not all women. This ain't the whole 100% of us. You talking to little girls. What's wrong with you? You're talking to little girls that have been hurt. I saw a girl that looked like she's 12 years old in there. What's wrong with you? How you gonna ask a 12-year-old, do they want to get married? How you ask a 14-year-old, do you want to get married? How you gonna ask an 18-year-old, do they want to get married? Find out how old those women were.
First thing, it's a lot of responsibility. It also shows what kind of man she was dealing with.
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
Yeah, to your point of what you're talking about, responsibility, the statistic that he put up saying that the black man was removed, or the government rather, removed the black man out of the home. The government actually held both parties accountable. It was
That's
always
right.
the woman who was left with the child because the black man didn't want to stand up, try to make more money. That means he had to get an education. That means he had to stop pouring, stop doing drugs. But a lot of men in that time didn't want to do that. So the breadth of the support came from the government. That's how that worked.
No, he gonna mention it, but it's still spinning like they didn't make choice. Like, so the way he's gonna talk about it, he gonna say everything you saying, but they the victims. It's all because of this. It's all because of everybody else. Watch, right? So now he put the most lowest situation of us in a broken situation and act like these women, you can see the pain all over their face. And it ain't got nothing to do with the white man. It's the fact that this Negro said he loved me, I slept with him, and then he disappeared.
And also what was happening during that time was America was creating an underground drug culture.
He gonna talk about it. The underground drug culture. Who forced you to put it in your nose? Did they stick you down? Was there a law you better take the vac? Sniff it. Yeah. He gonna talk about it, but like I said, my problem with the false truth narrative, it is all the black man, the victim, and the woman is left as not a victim also, but a scapegoat.
Another bad decision by black men.
Right, another bad decision by black men that we had to pay for. And they keep acting like that what happened to our daddies don't hurt us. That what happened to our babies' daddies even don't hurt us. What happens to our sons, we don't feel. And they acting like we got ourselves impregnated by ourselves, right? And that the responsibility always falls on the woman. But when y'all have babies, when y'all do that, there's nothing to hold y'all responsible. To make you marry the woman, sit down at home and work it out together. Nothing holds y'all responsible. But we automatically have to carry the load. And we're not affected, but we're affected by our bad, wicked, lustful decision. So you got men in one narrative painting us as the whores that's saying, well, we don't understand what men go through to get them to have babies. We don't. They over here acting like women rape men to get their seed, have babies, and be left by themselves and raise babies. Like we doing the Amazon thing on purpose. Like we doing it to y'all. Why you
Now,
crying?
that last factor was one of the biggest challenges for black men. In a world that was crippling him, the young black man wanted to prove his manhood by creating a child. But American society...
Look how he spent it. They wanted to prove their manhood by creating a child. That's a lie. That's a lie. Now he's trying to paint their whoremongering, lying to women, slip talking as some kind of dignified, righteous cause. You a liar.
That's wicked.
You a liar. What man would ever say that? I'm gonna prove I'm a man by going out and get a woman knocked up and then running the streets. You a liar. Ain't no man said that back in the day. You see, where you get that from? That's a lie.
He denied him the economic resources to support that child.
And denied. What? Why is you having a child before being married?
That
or
part.
A job? These are boys. You showing boys. Once again, not men. Ain't no man in a right mind say, I'm gonna go and have a baby, feel like a man. Kia, would you ever go get a woman knocked up on purpose that you're not gonna be with, can't support, just to feel like a man? No. What is you doing to feel like a man if you did that? Getting something. That's it. I gotta be with a woman to feel like a man. That's right. To conquer where they got nothing to do with you. A lie. It's Satan talking. And look, they victims. They victims. No, hear this again.
Wanted to prove his manhood by creating a child. But American society denied him the economic resources to support that child.
This is a lie. It's a lie, y'all. Ooh, it's a straight up lie.
Lack of economic opportunities led to poverty in the black community. You see, where there is poverty and people struggling to survive, it spurs violence and crime. Many black men returned to crime as that was their only opportunity. The movie Dead Presidents depicted as well. When the young brother did his thing in the war and came back to no opportunities, he tried as hard as he could, but he was not able to provide for his family. But a pimp in the neighborhood was able to provide because he wasn't dependent on the system.
Hold on. Wasn't his wife there surviving the whole time by herself? So why he couldn't just be humble enough and just live poor and be gracious and do right? No. Now he wanted lots of money. He was selfish. The movie did not depict a broken man. It depicted a selfish man. Covetous. Can't make it quick enough. He didn't want to do humble work. He didn't want to shovel dirt. So now we got pimps in the street. All I see is men making their own decisions for their own desire.
So that brother Lorenz Tate saw that, and so he decided that he was going to go into crime, and it didn't work out for him. With limited opportunities, black men resorted to crime. And though white-collar crime back then was estimated to cost society over $100 billion a year, compared to the $2.5 billion from street crimes, the prisons were occupied largely by lower-income black Americans. During the 70s, whites were jailed at a rate of 43.5 per 100,000, while blacks were imprisoned 367.5 per 100,000.
Don't know about the numbers, but we know that's true. In this unbalanced narrative towards Yah. However, if you saw that, why y'all kept smoking weed? If you saw that, why y'all kept doing drugs? If you saw your mama, your father, your uncle, your baby, your grandpa, your best boy, two of your best boys get killed by gun violence with who? Each other. Ain't no woman was out there shooting y'all. Get out of here. Right? The white man wasn't out there shooting y'all. Y'all was shooting each other. And we know they dropped the guns in there, but if you had any sense in Yah to Shuva, to return to him, you wouldn't have picked up the guns. If you believed in Yahoshua was searching for him, like he said, you wouldn't have picked up the guns. He who lives by the sword shall die by the sword. I built the temple. You defile your temple, I'm going to destroy you. So you put the and then you gave it to each other's children. Yeah, you preyed on your own community for what? Why did they do it? Because they couldn't find a job or they didn't want to work hard and stay low. The way Yah had commanded us to stay low. Because we were still on punishment until we returned. You wanted to buck Yah's punishment for servitude and not have for wanting of all things.
The sentences of blacks average 20% longer than whites. Now check this. During the 1970s, the unemployment rate for blacks increased dramatically, but so did the prison population.
Yeah.
There was a direct correlation. Lack of economic opportunities and extreme poverty led black men to desperation and crime. I mean, today, where marijuana is able to be smoked freely all throughout this country, I mean, I was in New York and I saw people smoking weed.
That ain't even a true narrative either. Talking about today where marijuana is, no, that's not true.
In front of cops, it was crazy. But back then, people's whole lives were being ruined for an ounce of weed. Those laws back then were put in place for a purpose. Of all new employees entering the private industry between 1974 and 1977, 53% were white women, 26% were white men, 5% were black women, and black men experienced no net gain in their numbers.
You know that can't be true. Because we still got black families where men were very successful in taking care of their homes, entering into the private sector. And I'm gonna tell you again, during the 1960s, 70s, what I saw was while men was out there doing big jobs, private jobs, right? Welders, builders, masons, all of that. Y'all went out there and did all of that to get the house, what's the name? What was women doing when we had to work? What was our work? Maids. That was our work. Guess what? We wasn't stay-at-home moms. We had to work too. And we had to raise the white man's children, serve and cook their food all the way up into the 70s. What is you talking about? And we did it humbly. And then we had to come home and do the same thing for y'all. Well, our work didn't end when we came home. You came home crying about how the white man did you. And we like, it's all right, baby. We got this. But you didn't want to stay home.
And then during that period, you have a lot of the young black college students, particularly male, that had come out trying to get into corporate America, who were not being let in.
No, they weren't being let in. No. Except if they became what? Sports. Or boule.
Which is why they needed laws like affirmative action. So
at that time, women was holding it down. He's throwing that in there like we did something wrong. Yeah, black women that went into that in the 1970s did what with that money? What? We abandoned black men? Those women that went in there was like, I don't want no black man no more. What did 5% of those black women do when they got into the private sector? Show the statistics that all of them, basically darn near all of them, was married, came home and brought that money home to support the family regardless, and stayed with their husbands to the end. Show me statistics on the 5%, not the 12-year-olds in the street. You see what I'm saying? It's a false narrative. Because at the end of the day, what Yah requires between a husband and wife is that if something should happen, that he can't hold it down. If you love him, you hold it down.
Yes.
For the whole. She didn't run off it with her money and be like, I'm gonna give me a white man now.
Can I say something?
Uh-huh.
I was in that time.
Yes, you was.
I was in that time, and I'm gonna tell you something. When I worked, my paycheck for like 2 or 3 years went into the bank. I never saw it. Why? Because we're trying to save money to buy a home. So don't tell me that Black women don't support their Black husbands. That's truly a lie.
It is a lie. I know it's a lie.
That's a lie.
Women wasn't abandoning our men just because we got a job back in that day. That is not true. Huh? Yeah. Right. We was raising them. Right. But that's not true. So what? So the white man did that. Why you putting that up there like we had some kind of advantage? Now we working hard and coming home and still working. Like our duties as a wife didn't stop just because we got the bigger job and the bigger paycheck. You a lie. We held it down. We held it down. Why don't you get an interview with those women in the 1970s, women, not little girls ramping in the street, hood rats in the street. Get an interview with a group of 1970s in the industry and find out what they said about the household and what they did with their money. We didn't abandon our men yet. That's a lie. But they came home angry from the war though.
I really can go in deep with all those statistics during that period. I'm just really trying to paint a picture.
Yep, he painted a picture. It's a false narrative. It's evil too. It's evil because all this does is cause the Black man to be like, yeah, that's great. Yeah, stroking the Black man. You're gonna start off with no woman, no cry, but all you're doing is stroking a man's inner tears and calling evil good. You're giving excuses to the Black man, and you're just making women look like their minds just gone.
Taking away the responsibility that was his.
That's right.
What happened to the Black man in America was not more about the lack of desire of the Black man or his laziness, but lack of opportunities and them trying to find a place in a society that did not want them.
Get out. Get out, but you didn't want to. Yah said it. He said, for his covetousness, he didn't even say it's hopeless. You're trying to find a place in society against the word of Yah. The lack of opportunity, you're talking about mainstream, against the word of Yah. You had the land, you had your family to keep holding Yah, but you wasn't satisfied. Then you went, slept with the white woman. Then you went and served in his war and killed people all over the world for him, and you wasn't satisfied. You destroyed the Black home. Then you came back as a whoremonger, experiencing free love with white people and experiencing free love in the army, came back like a brute nigger, and now wanted to command your house like a military ward. Your tenderness changed, not because we did it, and we were still holding it down. The movie don't show that the Black woman abandoned you. You abandoned her. You was a knucklehead, prideful nigga. Because you wanted quick. She was holding it down the whole time. She said, I got this, baby. Do what you can. Yes. While he was still abusing her. And he broke up the family and got into the drug game and got his behind his jail where he never see his wife and his child again. If you want to paint Hollywood, paint it right. But don't forget to put up more Better Blues and what do you call it? Jungle Fever and Sidney Poitier. White Man Can't Jump. Guess who's coming to dinner? Don't forget that. Don't forget that. He skipped that whole joint that would provoke the Black woman in the first place. He made a false narrative that young, stupid niggas want to feel like a man, so they go have babies out of wedlock with little girls.
Another movie about a brother who had gone to Vietnam and got hooked up and started bringing drugs back
Yes, Vietnam, that's where they got into the drug jungle. By the time they put it on the street, y'all already had the drug gang going on inside of your temples. Denzel Washington.
The system is not created for black men, and at no time did it ever want to see the thriving of black men unless it filled the stereotypes that it desired. Not to mention that if they were in poverty and sought after welfare, the welfare programs would not assist women who had men in the house. These were called man in the house rules, and they sought to enforce social norms about who was morally deserving of welfare. That's how they say it.
We will
Okay, but he's saying the men weren't working because there was no work. But that's not true in the 1970s. That's not a completely true narrative. They didn't like some of the jobs they were being offered. They were low paying jobs. They did not want it. That's not a whole 100% true. Yes, they gave our men the lowest of the lowest of the low. Our men did not, they weren't satisfied with it. But this situation was created all because of their greed in the first place. That they dragged their families in. So now women are forced to hold it down with any opportunity they can. We did not turn our backs on our men, and we did not hate our men, and we did not betray and go to the other race on our men. And we still not doing that. They're painting a false narrative through propaganda that this is an overflow of what's going on in our society is not true.
heighten welfare and give more attention to outside sources of income when determining the amount of welfare an individual is allowed.
Mom, the social worker's here.
Okay, now I'm gonna show you the wickedness of this. Before she hid the husband, what did she hide? Oh, the wonderful, big, expensive appliances so that they can live like the what? All you see is black people working the system right here. Did she kick him out the house? No. But you know that's the narrative they paint, that we kicked them out the house for the welfare. That's right. There's no way she could got a TV, a blender, a juicer, grinder off of welfare. And that is what we're doing today, right? We want to keep the women on welfare. And so while they make the money and hold on to it so they can get what? The extra stuff, right? Covetousness. Had they had saved the money, why are you watching TV? That's what corrupted us in the first place.
Let me get rid of the TV and hide.
Specifically, the rules prevented adult males from residing with mothers and children who received assistance. And so it was more beneficial for a mother to not be married and a man not to live in their home than for a family to be together.
So that is also another false narrative. Because of this, he's saying it's more beneficial, as if women just now decided, I'm not going to be married for the welfare. That's a lie. That's a lie. That's his own opinion.
He could have, they just would have got as much.
Right. Men could have got welfare. It wouldn't have been as much, right?
Exactly.
Yes. Please come. You know about it. Come here. So they can hear you, right? Because they're going to keep paying a very one-sided that men couldn't get no welfare. Even a married couple couldn't get no welfare. That's not true.
No, it's not true. And they just wouldn't get as much. And so when they decided to, when they seen that, because these caseworkers would come to your house and they would do exactly that, look all through your house, under the beds, everything, look through the suitcases. And if they find anything that belonged to a man, they automatically just said he's there. Mm-hmm. Even if he wasn't living there, he just had a few things there. So if he and her come together on a decision that he just go to work and keep another place and take care of them too, they could get more. Mm-hmm. So, but they was never denied. If the both of them were to live there together with the
it
children,
went down.
they would get a grant but they just wouldn't get as much.
They wouldn't get, because you got two people now.
Yes.
Right? Somebody
But
can
they
hold it.
still
Yes.
give more for a man than a woman and her children. If there's a man there, she almost get double. But they wouldn't give it to a woman and her children.
Now, you know this
Just the bare minimum.
because you lived in that time, right?
Yeah, yes, I did.
Yes, that's right. So you just taking one quote from Ronald Reagan and not the, you didn't read, that's not true. But that's the narrative they keep painting, that the men got nothing. Only the women that were single with women. That's a lie. It's a false narrative. And then once again, then you hear people spin this, we got rid of our men. No, we didn't. No, we didn't.
It was usually the man's decision to say, if I'm gone, you'll get more.
That's right.
But I really won't be gone. I'll come
back and forth.
Yes.
Guess what? They still doing that now.
Yes,
Ain't that right?
Yes.
Ain't that right? Living double lives so they can double dip.
Yeah.
Not satisfied, getting over on the system.
Poverty and lack of economic opportunity.
Do they look impoverished? No, they don't.
Strongly plagued the Black community, specifically with Black men. So our Black families by the 1980s were more than 50% fatherless. Black men had a high unemployment rate and lack of opportunities. And this was created by the system.
In the Black communities of cities like Los Angeles, it's hard to imagine the situation could deteriorate further. The unemployment rate among Black adults is double the average and climbing.
Okay, so one of the things they keep telling you is that the unemployment rate equals no opportunity. Is that true? By this time, where we was in? Drugs, crime, whoredom, gang. Mine was messed up on crack and cocaine. No, the unemployment rate, by this time we were lazy. Partying, huh? Yeah, Black adults, right? We were lazy at this time. This when it all changed. You say that unemployment equals no employment opportunity. That's not true. It's not true at all. Because if you go to welfare, they're gonna send you a job. They're gonna send you to a job. And if you deny it, then you get cut off.
In many places, desperation has turned to hopelessness.
Now, we by default tend to simply blame the white.
Hopelessness, right? If it's turned to hopelessness, where we at, was this 1980s? Where we at 40 years later? Why are we still here? Why are we still here? And now all of this is the Black woman's fault.
White man for this. But this was much deeper than just blaming white people. Who we were before our ancestors were taken as slaves has been hidden from us. And the hatred and oppression that we went through was told to be solely for the color of our skin.
Lie. See what I'm saying? He's saying we were told solely for the color of our skin. That's a lie, but he's gonna say because of who we were, right? He's saying it.
But you must understand it.
That it's not just about the color of our skin, but it's because we were the lost tribes of Israel.
It was much deeper than that. This oppression and hatred was very much spiritual, and blaming white people doesn't help you understand what was going on. It only helps keep you trapped in the system's way of thought and trapped in their system.
Double narrative. You just did that. And you excused every Black man's bad decision against Torah. You say it's not just because we Black, but of who we were, our lost identity. Well, then let's go back. We're gonna have to go back to the Torah and figure out why we're going through this.
The system was created by Satanists who were strongly against Black men who descended from slavery. This bloodline is hated. We were cursed, and by consequence, our people were oppressed. This is too deep to explain in this video, but this was the enemy. It should not be a blanket scapegoat of white people.
So Satan is the enemy. Now we're gonna blame Satan, the serpent. And we were cursed by Satan. Who cursed us? Wait. No, he said it's too much to go into. No, don't do that. Don't you dare do that. Put a video, and this is part 2 or something else. You put another video talking about it's too deep to go into, but you just went into all this deep crap. But you don't want to tell why we cursed. You a devil. How dare you put a video out there, leave us with a hanging emotion. Be angry. Don't just blame the white man, blame the devil. Can they attack the devil? If they want to attack the devil, what they got to attack? Nah. If they want to attack the devil, who they got to attack? Themselves. But it's too deep to explain that the devil is in you. Too deep that before the white man, you did the devil. Therefore, you were cursed. That's too deep to say. You can't just say it.
This doesn't discount the fact that many in the white community were moved through spiritual hatred.
They're very close to the Levittown norm, except in one respect. William Myers Jr. and his family are Negroes in an all-white community.
But the whole trouble with this integration business is that in the end, it probably will end up with mixing socially. And you will have, well, I think their aim is mixed marriages and becoming equal with the whites.
Wait. I think their aim is mixed marriages. Who was she talking to? The black women or the black men? And they become equal with the whites.
We have our home here, and if the colored move in and run real estate values down, there are a lot of us, the GIs particularly, who are going to be more or less stuck with their
Which one? The GIs in particular. Who was she talking about? The ones that came back from the war. In particular. That's right. They gave houses to them. All right. The GI, what? The GI Bill. Come on.
The point I'm making is black men were products of their environments and were being emasculated. And they were no longer taking responsibility in dealing with the circumstances, but they became victims of their circumstances. And when men tried to create something outside of the system, this was quickly squashed and suppressed. It was very difficult for the black man during these times, and we cannot point fingers at them. These were highly oppressive and deceptive times. So let's keep going.
What did we try to create outside the system? Huh? Outside the system? How? Oh, okay. Otherwise, I don't know what he's talking about. He said every time we try to create, no, he's saying that we got squashed, like we try to do something positive. Right? Black Wall Street, that what you're talking about? That wasn't outside the system. No, that wasn't outside the system. It did get squashed, so y'all gonna try it again, huh? And all you did was create the same system for yourselves that they created for themselves.
Another thing I just want to remember too, talking about black men didn't have opportunities. Back in the I say probably the early 1970s, might have been late 60s, there was something called Job Corps.
Job Corps, I remember that.
Street from where I lived in New Jersey, the
Job Corps.
And anybody, you could go there and get educated and get a vocation and have a job. The Job Corps is still working today. So I don't want to hear this foolishness about black men didn't have any opportunity. We didn't want to lower ourselves to do that. You know, we want to make the quick, fast money.
That's right.
Which is mostly illegal, you know, but Job Corps still out there.
Job Corps still there.
People.
Let's go back and see how long Job Corps been around. The GI program, right? What gave Yep. The woman said it, the mix with them. And the move in their neighborhoods. Why? That's all against Torah. It's not. Yeah.
Now we're in the 80s, and the system is still the enemy. But you know what happened? The system already knew what they were doing, and they decided now they could really recreate the black man. There was no real influence in the black community, in the black homes, And our real heroes were corrupted, whether they were in the church, abandoning the Bible, preaching a social gospel, whether they were in the streets pushing drugs, being paid to destroy their communities from within,
men and
or they
women.
were already controlled through organizations like Prince Hall Freemasonry and the Black Boule.
Okay.
The government placed guns and crack in our communities
They sure
and
did.
allowed our communities to severely decline. Then from
That's you gonna leave that like that? Like I said, it's wicked how he's spinning this narrative. They did do that, but they didn't force you to pick up the guns. They didn't force you to smoke the crack. Where did you learn how to shoot a gun? TV. Where'd you learn how to smoke crack? TV. Why'd you buy a TV if you was on welfare? That's you mismanaging your money. Yeah, that's what I just taught, that is against the Torah to not count your costs. Right? If you got money to afford appliances like that, you can't talk about welfare.
Can I say something else? The Black Boule were the gatekeepers of our people.
That's right.
They're the ones that went to college or college professors and all that stuff. Big corporate executives. And the white secret society, a Black Boule actually is a secret society, but the white secret society, white Masons, whatever, or the Skull and Bones from Yale or whatever, they made the Black Boule secret society. And what they did, they picked certain people as leaders to keep the majority of our people down.
Yes, they did.
That's what that
and
was
we
Black
followed
Boule.
those leaders against Yah.
The Black Boule basically came out of the black colony.
Yes.
Out of the fraternities and the sorority, because they wanted to be just like white colleges and have the sorority.
And it's the same situation now. Now I would like to know if this Negro is college educated, because he sounds like it, pushing false numbers and opinionated narratives.
From the rise of mass media, the system went into our neighborhoods and picked our enemies and made them our heroes. The birth of gangster rap and hip hop culture began, and this was something that we really felt like it was our own. But because we didn't understand the system, we didn't know that these heroes that were being presented to us were just tools of the same system that we were against.
Men, and more men. But y'all follow them. Those are your idols. It's called idol worship.
They used our own people as a Trojan horse to overcome us. Black culture became hip-hop culture, and it created a sense of immaturity in our black men that we have yet to overcome. For black men, everyone that you may have placed as a hero, that you may have placed posters of them on your walls, you watched their videos, adapted to their style, brought their clothes, went to the parties they threw, studied their lyrics, laughed at their jokes, dressed like them, took on their values, said you were going to make dead presidents represent you as well. All of these so-called heroes were and are in fact your enemies. They don't care about you. They care about themselves. The reason why they were so easily recruited is because they were already proven to not care. That's why they were selling drugs to their own community.
That's what I said. Not care. But so they didn't care and we didn't care either. Because y'all followed in their footsteps of not caring. But where's Yah in all of this? You alluding to the fact that we're the lost tribes of Israel. Where is Yah in this? You still gonna talk about the curse? Well, it's too complicated. I don't want to go into that right now. He's wicked.
The same way they can sell crack in their own community, destroying our mothers and fathers, sisters and brothers, and they felt no way about it, is the same way they feel no way about becoming a famous celebrity, paying millions by destroying their communities through the promotion of debauchery and filth. And guess what? We all ate it up.
This all the
They
way
were
in
being
Africa.
made rich to destroy our communities from within, and we were cheering it on. Our fathers were no longer in the home.
Why? For the money. They kept feeding y'all. Y'all kept showing them all what they needed to do. Like from the time that y'all moved off of the plantations that you own, you already told the white man what you about. That money. Y'all kept making decisions based on that money. Brothers, But I'm gonna say he could smooth this over all. He started off with a woman and teasing a woman. And so though he already painted the, he showed a couple of, he's showing us as a part of the problem. But he's still showing the men as the only victims. And now he's separating a few men because they didn't care. No, all y'all Negroes don't care. Y'all still don't care.
And these men became our role models. It was a geniusly executed sinister plan against us. And most of us men, still in our 40s, still can't shake it off from us.
Nope. Can't tell y'all Negroes to put down the video games, to put down the hip hops, pull up your pants, stop wearing caps, baseball, all of the idols that cause y'all to go to white women in the first place and do. Can't tell you. Can't tell you nothing. I want to know what you listen to. Truth Unedited. What does he listen to? Because if you show me a hip hop Christian rapper, you're a hypocrite.
No, he already said he listened to Eshawn Burgundy, so that's a
Eshawn
wrap.
Burgundy, right? I guess his music clean just because it came from, like, it sounded like back in the early 90s. Sound like conscious music? No, this Negro straight up street, secular.
And to add to this, they emasculated these men and made them do ritual homosexual acts.
No, they didn't make them do anything.
This is a rite of passage in order to be in the system.
It's a rite of passage in order to be. They chose it.
That's why we have seen all of our prominent men in dresses. I really want to address what's going on. These black men who we made our role models and heroes are complete sellouts. And they damage you and I as black men. And it is our responsibility to protect the next generation. But we have not. And this younger generation is even worse than before.
Yes, it is.
So now we have guys like Lil Nas X giving Satan a lap dance. Or Russell Westbrook coming out with a clothing line wearing a dress. It's too much to mention. Black men in America have been conquered. And it's time that you hear it and understand it. You have been overcome and demasculated to a point where our sons no longer know what a man is any longer. And they are completely soft. The women are right now stronger than the men, which is why you are seeing movies about women warriors. The same system you thought you were rebelling against in hip-hop with NW.
So is that a judgment? The women are stronger than the men? What kind of judgment is that? Because what you showing, what he's showing in Hollywood is not the truth. What does women being stronger than men mean in reality? Not Hollywood. Ain't no woman putting no knife up against their chest, holding it to a man, talking about who can push harder. What is you talking about? Ain't no women warriors. What are you talking about? Women are stronger than the men. Yeah, that what I'm, because there's a judgment, it's an undercut judgment. He started off with that, then show us as whores that don't want to marry men, right? While the black family, but then blame the white man, but then said, don't blame the white, blame the devil. It's the same, the devil did it, the woman did it, right? And then he comes back to the black woman. There's nothing about the black woman here suffering at all. Not at all. Yeah, because you can't do that. You can't do 30 minutes and it says because of the curses, but there's too much to explain right now.
And this goes all the way back to Adam and Eve.
That's right.
Gave Adam dominion.
That's right.
And told him what to do. And whatever Eve did, Adam still had the dominion to say no.
That's right.
And he did.
And you didn't. Right there. And so I want to know what this is when women are stronger than men now. Yeah, you explain that. Yeah, all you're gonna do is make a man mad. What does that mean? Then show them a Wakanda that's not real. Hollywood is putting triggering emotions that's not real. And as soon as a woman's saying, we could do this, we're gonna fight, I'm gonna take my life in my own hands, you be like, Wakanda. And you got some kind of judgment of the woman thinking that her life, like she can't control her life now. Like she gotta go down with you. She gotta go down with you. What does it mean she's stronger? Either you're gonna show she taking you down or she lifting you up? What does it mean women are stronger than men now? What does that mean? Because physically we're not stronger. You ain't gonna show me Wakanda and make no false narrative to me. It's not true. It don't matter how much testosterone we take, we still can't beat y'all in the fight. What is you talking about? What do you mean we stronger? Are you talking emotionally now? Why you still call us the weaker vessel? What does that mean? What do you mean you are demasculated? How? How did they demasculate you? By force. You participated in your own cutting off your balls. You did it to yourself.
Way promoting aggression against the
I know, but I didn't even get to the whole end. I mean, but it is hey, I don't think this, hopefully it's not anymore, but they've seen it.
Yeah, that's what I want to, can we just speak to the fact that these men.
Yeah, I'm judging it. This is all wickedness.
It's utterly demonic, and yeah, just for the.
It's utterly demonic, right? First of all, I apologize, right? But you can't hide their eyes completely. You still gotta show them, how do I say? That's as clean as it's gonna get with showing them and not showing them. However, like I said, I saw what he showed in the beginning. I didn't even go through the whole narrative with him, but I don't believe it's gonna get any worse than that. But y'all know what I'm saying, right? You know, that's utterly wicked. That's some faggot stuff, man. That's some, There's nothing luxurious about it at all. Oh, we clear? It's wicked, and all of them is Satan. They go there, they demonically possessed. So I want to understand this women is stronger than men. Don't tell me about Kamala Harris and this lesbian African Canaanite in the office. Yeah, they're gonna promote that, but they was promoting faggot men before. What are you talking about?
the police, this same system that you thought you were rebelling against actually conquered you. And you celebrate the sellouts who they used. Yes, there is an agenda about emasculation.
Look at that faggot. Look at it right there. Faggot. He been turned out. Yeah, but he been turned out. He been turned out.
But it is us specifically as Black men that this agenda has been targeted at the most, because it was our strength that they cannot deal with.
Who did that to y'all? Why y'all looking like that? Who did that to y'all? You did it to yourselves. But y'all in the word, y'all says it in the word, Jeremiah. He said, I'ma turn your men, all your mighty men, into women. Y'all said, I'ma do that because you men have turned your backs on me. I'm your warrior. Right? So the very system that you're trying to rebel against without me is the very conquering you, is the one that's conquering you in the end. Right? Whose wife you is. That's right. They juked you. That way he said you went to the kings and laid your bed in oils, all Israel, you went to your lovers and you whored yourself out like a prostitute, like a sodomite. And Yah said he was gonna do it to you because you rejected me. So you showing all this. I'll be like, who did that to you? Ain't no woman dressed you like that. It's other men. Because y'all are lovers of self. Who have y'all worship? Women in control? Men. You worship men. You put men as your idols, other men. And you saw what other men had to do to get it. That looked masculine, but they were also in the behinds. And y'all did it because they still look like warriors to you. Who did that? Look, yes, that's our men now. But how you gonna get upset with a woman now?
So understand what they did, and I will skim through it again briefly. After they gave us an illusion of freedom, they lured us into this system, gave us jobs, and allowed us to get educations, promoted some of their controlled bourgeois Negroes, and placed them as our goals to ascend to. After that program set in our minds, they took away all those same opportunities. They promoted agendas that removed the black man out of the homes, allowing their school system and their entertainment to program and raise up our next generation. They then destroyed the communities from within by planting drugs and guns directly in our communities, and they marked our streets by placing Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard in every city.
They sure did.
Not as a memorial for us, but as a marker for them to know where they are attacking specifically, and so that others know that this is a black neighborhood. I mean, I can go to any city in America, and if I want to find the hood, all I need to do is find the MLK Boulevards. That wasn't by accident.
You're right.
They set up laws that imprisoned more of our men and left the next generation fatherless and angry. They filled that void with homosexual sellouts who promoted a lifestyle and mentality that destroyed us from within, removing our values completely, having us disrespect our women. Pretty much everything that would have been right for us, they promoted the complete opposite, and made these men our heroes in the world. Black people in America have an extremely high influence on culture. Is actually the biggest weapon used against us. Yahushua the Messiah is your only answer, and you reject him. Let me tell you why I made this video. The times ahead that are coming are about to...
So he said nothing. That Yahushua Messiah is our only savior. He's a lie, y'all. Yeah, he said nothing. He said nothing. I'm sorry, I didn't go that far, y'all. I don't really know truth from editor. I thought he was a little more cleaner and more tactful. No, I can't go with it. That is the same narrative. And I said it's a true lie. It's a lot of it is true, but it's not the complete truth that makes it a lie. And it makes black men angry. Well, after you watch that, it don't turn you to Yahushua. Who's turning to Yahushua after this? You said nothing. And you didn't give him any judgment. Now, at the end, it sounds like he's saying, oh, right, that we made these decisions. Yeah, we did. But he started, but everywhere he placed, there's an underground tone, black women. Black, it's an underslur. It's an underslur against also the black woman. And thinking that the attack is just on the black man. Well, guess what? If you want to trace it back to Satan, after the fall, he said the serpent will attack the seed of the woman. That is Yahoshua. And so therefore, he's also attacking the woman. Who's the woman? First of all, who had to flee? Miriam with her son. Miriam, if you want to talk about Yahushua direct, she had to flee too, because they were going to kill her too, not just the baby. Miriam had to flee to save her son, the seed. And who got to flee this time? To bring back Yahushua. Israel as a what? As a woman.
To be really bad. And every one of you that are under this mind control are going to be dragged into chaos, and your families will be victims just by consequence. If you do not wake up and understand who you are, why we were oppressed, and what our only answer is, you're going to fall. You must break generational curses that the men in your family have been plagued with and defeated by. You must do it. Don't worry about your dad or the other weak men around you. You must wake up and become what this world needs, what our women
Once again, it's all male power.
need, what our children need, what our communities do. Don't worry about your dad or the other weak men around you. You must wake up and become what this world needs, what our women need, what our children need, what our community needs, and what our Creator, the Most High, requires. When I was a child, I spoke as a child. I understood as a child. I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. That's 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 11. And I read that scripture because it's time for you to put away the childish things and the childish thoughts. You as a black man are being attacked, and there's not much you and I can do to change this trajectory. But we can make up for our mistakes and the mistakes of our parents and our grandparents, and so on. You must be a man who lives out life through strength and not through weakness. Watch, stand fast in the faith, be brave, be strong. Let all that you do be done with love. That's 1 Corinthians chapter 16, verses 13 and 14. Now let me tell you what I know. I imagine that many of you just probably said, man, he was doing good until he brought that religion stuff in. I mean, he's using the Bible. He's controlled. Let me tell you very clearly, I'm not one of these sellout pastors. If you understood what it was I was saying before I quoted a little scripture, humble yourself and then ask yourself, maybe there's something he knows deeper than what I know from the surface. Because here's some truth unedited for you. If you have a problem with the Bible, you have an identity problem, and you don't know who you are. You are mind controlled and need to be woken up. This is truth unedited. And I'm not sugarcoating anything for you because we simply don't have the time any longer. It's time for you to walk upright and be who Yah created us to be. You have been led by the ungodly, and like the prodigal son did, you need to come back home and submit to Yah. I want you to know and remember this. Blessed is the man who walks not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor stands in the path of sinners, nor sits in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of Yahuwah, and in his law he meditates day and night. He shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that brings forth its fruit in its season, whose leaf also shall not wither, and whatever he does shall prosper. The ungodly are not so, but are like the shaft with which the wind drives away. Therefore the ungodly shall not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. Within these last two videos, I put a lot out there, and there was so much more to say, actually.
Did you learn anything? Did you figure out what these laws are? I don't. Did you figure out how to return to Yahushua? And when did y'all just say men return to me? That's not the message at all. Black men return to me. No, we have to return to him together, or not at all. It ain't gonna work if women just return and the men are missing, and it ain't gonna work if men just return and the women are missing. He said that he's waiting for the sons and daughters of light to shine, the whole house of Israel, which is female in nature, meaning submissive to our true husbandman, Yahushua. But he taught nothing, and his messages are quite like that. They teach a bunch of nothing, right? Now you spent 28 minutes showing actually what you call the falsehood of the game, but no explanation on this kingdom of heaven, that we should even desire it at the end of it.
Like everybody wants to tell and glory for waking the people up or waking them up to what? With a faulty foundation.
A faulty foundation, right? And why? Because they wake up and just get trapped in information. But there is no true message of a return. Nothing. It's just information. And he ends it off with return to Yahushua, pray for the kingdom of heaven. What is it? You shall be like a water plant. Explain that. Why would these Negroes give up their pursuit of covetousness for a tree being planted by the water and some fruit? Huh? He just doing church in a very good way. He's saying nothing. And don't nobody know who you are. Truth unedited. Once again, you can't affirm none of your works outside of making money, doing educational, informational videos like an educated college student. Who are you? Because you a lie. And you could say the devil, the white man, but you painted an a secondary judgment on Black women. One, by excluding us from the whole vision. Like the kingdom of heaven is just for men. We only need you, I don't know for what, but the kingdom of heaven is for you. You started off and showing warrior Black women, and then you made an accusation by Hollywood about Black women being stronger than Black men. I don't know what that means, because you just showed me Wakanda, which is not true. I don't know what that means, right? And so that's what I got to say. I don't really watch, like when I first had a couple of students, they was like, Truthunedited. I was like, who is he? First time I saw him teach the rapture or something false like that. And I was like, get out of here. I saw one thing he taught, I was like, he's a devil. You know, he's a Christian with identity. And
The
he's
things that need to be said, Yah willing, I hope they were given and received by who it was intended for. Listen, I love you all, and I have only made this because I care for you. I care for your family, and I care for our community. I cannot watch any more of this provocation against us and not speak up on it.
See?
These movies really provoke me.
See? See? All of that in the middle, there's a second intention without him actually saying it. Watch.
And I care for your family.
The images alone will suggest everything a man needs to get in speech. Your women to rule you.
And I care for our community. I cannot watch any more of this provocation against us and not speak up on it. These movies really provoke me. And my own friends, they see all this, but they still dance around the answer and the solutions. These things needed to be said. And I hope that this resonated with you. And if you're already woken up and living as a true man of Yah, please share this with those you may know have fallen short. It is time to put the childish, false ways behind you and come to Yah in fullness of heart and spirit. Be a man worthy of respect and of honor. And please lead whoever Yah places in your path. You have been called, and the only question is, will you answer? Please say yes and be ready.
I'm a man. Say yes and be a man.
Hallelujah. Praise Yah.
So, oh, look, see? Yeah, see? So he's slick with the narrative. That's what I'm saying. Y'all see it, right? How the devil slick, like it could have shut me up at the end, but well, no, he did say the Black man need to take responsibility and stand up in Yahushua and return to Yah. But he couldn't explain the return to the laws of Yah. He couldn't, it's too deep to go into, right? Too deep. But he started off with a woman warrior. In the middle, some knucklehead niggerettes, baby girls, a couple of boule and a Canaanite in the Oval Office, and married white women, false narrative about the racial mixing. You can't see the blame. He don't want to come straight out and do it because he might actually lose a lot of women watch him. He's doing it through subliminal suggestion. Who is he really blaming? Who's he really saying is the devil? The Black woman.
And he created this woe is me narrative.
Yep.
But also like pushing undercoverly, you know, how the Brews do with submit your women, submit your wives.
And that's all he's suggesting. And Yahushua stand strong. Against who?
Yep. The Black woman. Yep.
That's all he's painted with some slickness underneath to cover up what he really gonna lead them emotionally with. Every man that see this that's gonna be provoked know what the real message is. It's not even be mad with the Black man. I mean white man. It's be mad with your strong women. Fight back. Stand up in Yahushua. Be a man. Just say yes today and get your dignity. And we didn't emasculate you. You did it to yourselves. So, you know, that's what I got to say about that. And he's of the devil, y'all. He's sent by the devil too, the agents too. I believe that he's educated and don't nobody know who he is. He's a YouTuber genius, making money off the people, pushing informations. Bits and pieces. He's young too. He don't know nothing. He got his narrative from the old school niggas. He's a coward and he don't have an answer. He's identity at the end of the day. And this is the last thing our people still need to hear. None of his videos that I've ever seen got a real answer in the end. What you need to do is stay faithful, pray to Yahushua, and return to him. That's all I get. He get all these narratives, and that's all you get at the end. All right. This wasn't a lesson. It was a critique on what y'all need to stop doing. Stop. If Wakanda is provoking you, stop watching it. But at the end of the day, you can be mad at the women all you want. But if you're going to use Wakanda, the women did not turn against the king. Why are you provoked by Wakanda? Yeah. Why would you be provoked by the idea? Y'all don't even know that in Arab nations and African nations, that was true to some degree. First of all, there's an advantage, disadvantage to doing that. In Arab nations, they get women, yeah. They get women because you would never know that a woman would pull it out like that. But why are you watching these movies? Why? Why are you watching Hollywood? Why? That shows that you idle too. Stop watching these movies provoking you off of something that's not real. Now you angry with women now off of something that's not real. It didn't happen. That's what I'm saying. This is witchcraft. You're doing witchcraft on yourself. All right, that's all I got to say. This man hates you too. Who you standing up and being strong to? What does that mean? Who you gonna fight against? Who's the devil? He said, don't blame the white man, blame the devil. Who's the devil? He didn't say that. All he's saying is with all these men, just stand up, man, and be men in Yahushua. That's it. Be men in Yahushua. Then he paints the narrative of women to provoke them, to show, I'm telling you, he's saying that women are the devil. I don't know who he's supposed to stand up against, but he did not say himself. Right? All right. That's what I got to say. I'll see you again. Talk to you later.